So, welcome everyone. I'm really excited to be here with Andy. Andy is a certified breathwork facilitator through the TOSA Method and the More Than a Breathwork training. And he's also been one that has really been a living embodiment, really, of the TOSA Method and all aspects of it, the meditation, breathwork, the conscious support. He has been, I guess, all in since Andy came to work with me. And I've seen and heard so many stories, and I know we only have a little bit of time, but I would love to ask you, Andy, how has the TOSA method impacted your relationships, the quality of your relationships with yourself and any other relationships you want to touch on?
Yeah, thanks, Kel. They've impacted me as a man so much. I mean, I come from a place where my mentors before yourself were, people who didn't have my best interests at heart, shall we say. Uh, I had a challenging upbringing. I was in trouble with the police a lot, at school a lot. Didn't know how to speak to people. I immediately got into a conflict, a disagreement with people, and I just went from 0 to 100, and it was just like my emotions just come flooding in, and I acted out in a disruptive way, in an angry way, in a violent way. And I think a lot of that, Kelly, come from my upbringing, where physically I got beat quite a bit by my father. I know we've talked about it in the work we've done, and I said I was a naughty boy and I deserved it, blah, blah. And you told me there's no such thing as a naughty boy. But at the time I thought, it's par for the course, I deserve this because I'm getting in trouble. But I know now, as a man, that wasn't right, to be beat all the time. So it's no surprise to me, Kelly, that I acted out in an aggressive manner and a violent way, because that's all I'd ever known, to get beat for things. So that would also, coupled with getting sexually abused as a youngster as well, added to this pot of, I have explained it to you in the past, Kel, and I'll explain it again. I sort of calloused my mind as a young boy. So no one was there as far as I was concerned, and no one was coming. No one was going to help me. And the people I thought were going to help me actually didn't, done me harm. So I calloused my mind, and I'd done a lot on my own, and I didn't like to be held or seen or loved, because I didn't want that emotion. Because every time people tried to be nice to me, they usually reversed it by being wicked. So I've grown up into a young man, multiple prison sentences, selling drugs, doing things I shouldn't be doing, being involved in the security game, lots of violence going with that. And I find myself, after my last prison sentence, not wanting to go back there no more, Kel. And I turn my life around and I get a good job, and I start working. But years and years later, 15 years later or whatever it is, I'm still that mixed up individual, because no one's ever taught me how to react to things or to respond to things, sorry. I just react to things. So I'm still reacting to situations I'm getting in the same way, although I'm not in that world no more, if you know what I mean. And I come along to you, I get a friend of mine asked me to go to some breathwork. I go to some breathwork, and the experience I have in that breathwork is like an experience I've never had in my life with my son. It was amazing. And then the lads who told me to go along to the breathwork also then pointed me in your direction and said, this is the lady you want to work with. She'll help you so much. So I stumbled across you, and I've never looked back, Kel, to be honest with you, love. Even me demeanour, and you'll know this because you knew me when I first started. The people now who are watching it probably don't know me from Adam, so I speak a lot quieter. I speak a lot slower. I think about things I'm going to say. I was a very fiery character, eh? I was a very unpredictable man. And leading on to me relationships in my family, you know, my poor wife has been through a lot with me, you know, and when I really think about it, I've never really held space for her, Keli. She's never felt safe around me in that way that she could talk to me and get a response back that like was you know, I thought about it. I was quiet. I was holding space for her. I was seeing her, and I was holding her the way she needed to be held. It was just like, oh, get on with it. You know, I'm not interested. I've got my own. It was just dismissing you. You know. Now I do hold space for her, and it can be challenging because my wife's going through the menopause at the moment. She's done no work, Kel. She's got lots going on for her. She's an amazing woman. She's brilliant. She'd do anything for anyone, but there's lots of work, there's stuff she needs to do she's got a lot going on from the past, and one day hopefully we'll get her doing a bit of work with you. But I hold space for her in the best way I know how at the moment, but
and just seeing her and really hearing her is so
yeah,
big. And I
yeah.
just want you to let everyone know how long you've been together.
She was 17 when I met her. She's 47 now, so 30 years. 30 years, she's been there all through me prison sentences, on multiple occasions, traveling all over the country to see me. Really loyal, beautiful lady, but really broken a bit at the moment, Kel. Broken, doesn't see those lovely attributes she's got, Keli, always pulling herself down, and it's sad, but I am a lot better at holding space for her. I used to just dismiss her, be quiet, get on with it. Now I don't. Every day she comes in from work, I say to her, would you like a cup of tea, babe, or a cup of coffee? Would you like to sit down, tell me how your day went? And at first she's looking and thinking, who's this imposter? This isn't my husband. But she's getting used to it now. She's getting used to coming and talking to me, when something's coming up for her. Instead of just sitting with it and it bubbling over, and like she's coming and sitting with me and saying, can I tell you, what's coming up for me and how I'm feeling? I say, yeah, of course you can. She feels safe now to come and talk to me, Kel.
So beautiful.
So all I'm doing is just sitting and seeing her exactly as she is at that moment. I'm not trying to change anything. Not trying to fix her. Just allowing her to tell me how she's feeling and what's coming up for her. And just by me being present with her in that moment and listening to her and not dismissing her and looking over her head and looking away, but just looking into her eyes and repeating back what she's saying to me, repeating back to her so she knows I'm hearing her and I'm listening to her and I'm present with her. And even dropping her into her body now and again, and saying, is there any feelings there associated with how you're feeling? She said, yeah, my chest is a bit tight. Do you want to take a couple of deep breaths into that? She takes a couple of deep breaths into it, and I start saying, is there an emotion attached to that? And we start working into it, and she said, yeah, I feel sad, or I feel lonely, and we work through the emotions, and we allow them to be there. I allow her to sit with her emotions instead of trying to push them away, or as she calls it, burying them in Pandora's box and leaving them there, or ridiculing herself that she shouldn't feel that way when she should. She's a human being. We all have stuff moving, eh? So
and I want to just kind of pause for a second. As through all of the training, is that I always say, in being a facilitator and being a really safe space holder, we can only lead people as far as we've gone.
Yeah.
And how we show up and I know there's more stories that you have about other relationships and other experiences, but how we show up really is a reflection of, were we held, were we seen, were we allowed to be in that emotion and find some safety through it. And that's when we can hold ourselves, and then that's when we can hold another. And so really acknowledging that.
Yeah.
And and I was going to say, all of this time you've also had 2 kids, and now you're a granddad. So all through prison, and sharing a little bit about how this work has impacted your relationship with your kids, and now your grandchild.
Yeah. My relationship with my kids is amazing. We're really close. Same again, Keli. Didn't really know to approach me. Quite an unpredictable person. You know, 1 minute I could sit and hold you and see you, love you, understand you, whatever, you know. And other times I'd just dismiss you, depending on where I was, you know. And the biggest thing for me, Kelly, I can tell you straight away why I was so unpredictable, because I had a lot of unhealed stuff going on myself, and I hadn't done the work on myself, Kelly. The magic comes, Kel, when you do the work. You know, I sit in meditation twice a day, 20 minutes each time, and I sit in meditation. And sometimes it doesn't even feel like it was a great meditation. I've had a lot coming in my mind, but it's still there. I'm still doing it. I'm still disciplining myself, and it still is being beneficial. And I can drop in a lot better now. I do breathwork on myself, you know, every 7 days, every 10 days, whatever it is. It mightn't be a long one. It might be 20 minutes. Just drop in with a bit of music in the background. Just do some nice, deep, conscious, connected breaths, and just ground myself and drop in and relax myself, you know. And then there's somatic inquiry, which I'm really big on. I'm limited to what I know, but it doesn't stop me from keep trying to do it. Do you know what I mean? I'm still pushing on. I'm doing it. I mean, I remember you saying to me once, by just being there for someone and just listening to them is massive. And if I just sit and hold someone's hand now and just be present with them and just be there for them, that's just wonders. It's unbelievable, you know. And you know, I've had and still do have things coming up for me where I think, who am I to help others? And you've said back to me, who are you not to help people? You know, I have got a lot of lived experiences, and I see people suffering the way I suffered. Because when you have role models who haven't got your best intentions at heart, I mean, I didn't know how to ever resolve a conflict. The only way I knew was to raise my hands and be violent and intimidate people. That's the only way I knew how to sort something out. And now I've been given the tools for the TOSA Method, you know, and yourself, to where I can actually sit and listen to people. And you know, even when people disagree with me, Kel, not to have that emotion attached to it. Do you know, when you speak without the emotions coming up, it's amazing. You just keep a clear mind and you can talk. And even when you don't like what the person's saying, it doesn't give you a right to be aggressive. You can listen and say, okay, you know, that's what you think about the matter. Now can I have my say? And you sort things through and you work things out. And even if you agree to disagree, but you know, it's said from your heart space in a loving way. It's amazing.
Yeah. And
it's amazing.
You know, part of these, you know, these series of interviews about relationships is just giving people permission. But it's also, you know, I have this creating radically conscious relationship course that I have coming up. And, you know, in that, it's like these tools of the TOSA method, and in particular, the somatic inquiry, to really, you know, have the skills, develop the practices that allow you to use those conflicts, those places that normally would end in pain, distance, and residual, you know, emotions and thoughts and, you know, traumas in the body, instead of that being the outcome, of using it to a place of joining, you know, from that heart space, to have the capacity, even if we don't agree, even if you know, we don't see in the same way, but there's an ability to join through it. And so important.
Kelly, if I can just touch on as well, as you well know, I live with my dad now. He's nearly 81. And we had a lot of disagreements when I was a young man, like I say. And then I didn't live with him for a long time, and I only seen him now and again. And everything was okay, but when I come back to live with him, not only was I caring for my disabled brother, but I had then the resentment. I didn't realise all the stuff was coming up for me about what my dad had done in the past with the physical beatings and the way he brought me up. And I struggled with it massively, as you know, Kel. The resentment was real. And I blew me top a couple of times, you know, just because I held it in. I went back to that little boy, Kelly, when I was round him, because he made me feel that way. I went back to little Andy because I didn't know what to do. I just went into the corner sort of thing, and I just blew because I was holding on to all them emotions moving around me. Now, since I've been doing the work, our relationship's really good. We talk a lot more, even though he's old school, Kel, and you don't get much out of him. I can sit now and talk to him about how he's feeling and what's going on, and I don't resent him no more because he knew no better how to bring me up, because his mother and father, he didn't live with them, you know, he didn't have a mother and father, and he struggled with his emotions and his feelings. So this work's allowed me to see the way he was brought up, not judge him, not hold resentment against him, but to love him exactly how he is, you know, and know that he tried his best for me. And when you do that, it's just a lot. It's just the magic happens, you know. It's a lot easier life. You know, I don't want to spend my life resenting people. Where's the love in that, Kel? I want to love them, because we haven't got them there all the time, have we? You know what I mean? So yeah, my relationship with my dad's a lot better. My wife, my kids, my little granddaughter, you know, I missed the birth of my children because I was in prison. So I've never known what it was like to be around a little baby. Kid's 25 and 19 now. But to get another chance with my granddaughter, my little Romy, and like, oh, you know, just to be there with her. Don't go near my phone, present all the time, and just play games and be with her. And you learn so much from babies, Keli. They're so present. It's amazing. So yeah, the work has been really life-changing for me. It really has. And not just that, Kel, you know, like relationships with friends from the past. I will still get people ringing me up thinking I'm still that same man. Can you come with us while I go and get collect a debt, or can I do this? No, that's not how I live my life no more. That's not me. And it was tough at the start because they all fell off. I didn't have no friends left because they couldn't adjust to the new Andrew. And they'd say, you've changed. And I'd say, I know, celebrate me, because I'm so happy. Do you know what I mean? So the people I've got in my circle now are the people I want in my circle. You know, people who love me and who I love. And my relationships have gone up tenfold since this work with you. Yeah, brilliant.
Beautiful. And I would love for you to share one more story, if you don't mind, before we wrap up here today. And that was the one when you've mentioned already that you've been caring for your disabled brother for the last several years. And you know, one of your brothers, you finally, you know, got him into a home that's really beautiful care, and you know, you met a girl even. And and you know, making some friends, which was just really lovely. And that you know, one of your brothers, who he was still really struggling with it, lashed out and was yelling. And you know, tell me a bit about that and your response, and how you would have responded before.
yeah, exactly. So like you've just said, you know, my brother's gone into a supported living unit. He still comes home a couple of times a week just while we transition till after Christmas. And my brother, who's John's twin, so my disabled brother, Paul's his twin. But Paul did know he was going, but he thought he was going somewhere else. So I recognised that it wasn't about him going into a supported living. You accused me of putting him in a home. You accused me of letting him down. You promised our mum that you'd look after him, and he said a lot of hateful things, Keli, that I would have really reacted in a different way. Probably in an aggressive, violent way, or I'd have just dismissed him and told him never to come back to my home, and we would never have had a relationship moving forward. But I immediately recognised that he was hurting. He was hurting, you know, and I could see he was hurting, and he was worried about us not being round him when John was waking up in the morning and being there, and he just couldn't get his head around the fact that he was not in the family home no more. He's 57. And I looked at him and I just said, so he's shouting all these obscenities at me and calling me this and calling me that. And I looked in his eyes and I just said, can I give you a hug? And he just looked like, yeah. And I just put my arms around him and hugged him, and he just cried. We just cried together. But he cried on my shoulder. And then he told me all the amazing things that I've done for John, because I just took the emotion out of it straight away and just said, you need a hug, can I give you a hug? And I couldn't believe I'd done it. I come back in and told my wife, and my wife overheard the exchange in the house that he was shouting and I was being really quiet and just talking back in a really present, calm way. And my wife even said, can I give you a hug? The way you've just handled that was amazing. She said, I can't believe it.
Yeah.
And, you know, I come in and then I sit with that for a few days later, Kelly, and I think, did I do the right thing there? Or should I have told him what I thought of him? Or am I going soft? But no, you're not going soft. You're just holding another who needs that. And for me to recognize it is because of the training that I've been given by you, you know, and just putting it in. It's all right getting trained about something, Kel, but put it into life then. Put it into a situation that's getting quite emotional and getting quite fiery. Then put it in, you know, it's amazing when you do it.
And, you know, that is, I mean, as you know, from working with me, that I really take a very strong stand for being a living embodiment of the work, you know, actually integrating. And that's why the TOSA method, being in that holistic approach, you know, really allows us to integrate fully on all aspects. And then we become a living embodiment. And I, you know, say often, it's like, you know, these needs from our past create our behavior. So, you know, we're showing up in the world who, in reference to our unmet needs from our past, our pain or our traumas or our stresses. So we're behaving, acting, being in the world in a particular way, but it's not who we really are. We aren't our behaviors. You know, we are so much more than that. And so, you know, what I hear through the story, or many stories that I hear, is that, you know, you're being who you were created to be instead of who your past defined you to be.
Yeah, it's spot on. And you know, like a big one, and it won't just be my family, it'll be a lot of families. People not actually addressing the problem that's at hand, letting it go, letting it fester, sitting with it, and then talking behind each other's backs and what these people are sitting in disease because of it. Now what I've tried to do is get us all in, sit around the table after the day and say, how's your day been? And is there anything that anyone would like to talk about and get off the chest? And it's actually working. People are coming and saying, are we having our little meeting? And they want to sit and they want to talk. And people are saying, you triggered me earlier on. I got activated by what happened. And we said, come on, let's get it out there. Let's talk about it. And it's a lot better. It's still challenging, but you know, it's a work in progress. It takes time because I'm the only one really doing the work. My son's done a bit, but so if I can get the whole family involved, but all I can do is keep trying to educate myself to then educate the rest of my family.
Yeah, and it's not even the education; it's the embodiment that you've been doing that allows you. It's that you're really truly doing the work, not just talking about the work or learning about the work.
Putting it into practice. Because I recognised that on myself a while ago. I'd come on and do a bit of a call with you when we're doing our one-on-ones, and I think, why am I feeling so mixed up, so confused, so unhappy? When I really sat and thought about it, was I actually doing the work what I've been taught? No. So then once I started thought, right, stop the messing about, let's drop in properly, let's do it. Be a living embodiment of this work. Once I leaned in and done it, Kel, that's when everything started changing. And it was just, it was life-changing. You know, it's been great. So I can't thank you enough for your teachings, your presence, you know, and, you know, I know I'll work with you for a long, long time because I know how much of an impact it's had on my life and my family's. Yeah, so thank you.
It's really my honor. And, you know, there's nothing closer to my heart than families breaking that cycle, you know, and that's, you know, I have three kids, for those who might be listening that don't know me, and we all do this work, you know, similar to the round table that you're talking about. You know, we've even done practices of, you know, sometimes I pretend and fill in the blanks when really I want to, because when, you know, there's this radical honesty, this ability to as part of the TOSA method is conscious learning, which is about bringing the unconscious conscious. So it has a way of releasing, of being integrated, being witnessed,
Nice.
seen. And and it's just such a beautiful thing when families do this together. And I don't know if there's other women that are listening to this interview. I'm sure that there's a lot that were like, oh my God, to have a man that is embodying it and really being that solid, safe space. Because as much as your wife hasn't been directly involved in the work, you've seen, and I said before, she will just, even by osmosis, when she feels safe, more stuff will come up and you'll be able to hold her through that. And from that, you both get to grow in really beautiful ways, even more than what you already have. Yeah.
I went through my life and I thought to be a man, just protect and be that macho man. No, that's not being a man. It's not bringing trouble to your family or actually, I cry more than my wife now. I actually cry because I'm in touch with my heart center, because them layers I've broke down. When I sit with my wife and I hold her and we cry together and it's amazing. It's a lot better. It really is. And and if any man can change, bloody hell, the way I've been taught in my life to sort my problems out, and now where I am now. So I can do it. Anyone can. Do you know what I mean? Just about putting the work in, leaning in, embodying it, putting it into practice in your life.
And the right kind of work with the right kind of support.
Well, that was just something I was going to touch on, Keli. I've done other courses and other work. It never had any impact on me whatsoever. It just wasn't delivered. It just didn't hit home. It didn't sit with me. I got nothing from it. And now I've started working with you. And it's just been completely different. Your teachings are just on a different scale completely. And they really, really have helped me so much and my family. And I think, I've been getting into my wife and she's actually saying, well, if I had a call with Keli, what would it, so she's starting to get, she's starting to want, she's asking questions. Yeah, she's getting curious. But even my son said last week, I might have a call with Keli. I said, why? He said, I've just got a couple of things going on at the moment, and I just wanted to sit and talk to him. He will sit with me and he talks to me, which is great. But he's actually mentioned about yourself as well. So I think they're all seeing the impact Dad's had since working with yourself. So it's good, eh?
And I want to just let everyone know that, Andy was all in. He did the one-on-one sessions, he did the level 1, the level 2, and the meditation. So he's done it all. And it didn't take him 5 years or 10 years or 20 years. We worked together under a year.
Yeah.
So when we do the right kind of work and we're held in what, conscious support, not just any support, because healing doesn't happen unless we feel safe. That's probably, why other courses or other work hasn't, impacted you, the holistic approach, but that different level of presence and safety that's brought for us to really meet the pain because we can't bypass it.
Yeah.
And so it can be relatively short, even with the amount of, you've heard Andy's story, the amount of pain that he was carrying, it's a past with a lot of big T trauma in it. And with the right kind of work and the right kind of support, the transformation is miraculous.
Yes. And just to touch on that, Kel, I've got a family member who's been doing talking therapy for 5-6 years now. She's still in a really poor place. She's still self-harming. She's still doing a lot, and I didn't self-harm, but I come from a place of, not a dark place, if you like. And like you say, under a year, transformation has been incredible. And you need that support, Keli, by the way, because I went through a stage, as you well know, where I thought, no, I'm okay now. I don't need support no more. But I did. I still needed it. And I dropped back in with you. We had a call, and I thought, wow, you need that conscious support all the way through.
Yeah.
You really do. It's important. And it's tough doing the work out. It can be really tough, you know, going back to them wounds, and you can't bypass the wound, as we know. You know, there's a lot of tears involved. There's a lot of anger, different emotions coming up, sadness. But once you come through them and you deal with those things, and it's like, oh, the light is beautiful. The light at the end of the tunnel. I'm a very, not a religious man, I'm a very spiritual man now, Kel. And I pray every day. I talk to the divine, to God a lot, and that's not me. The only time I ever prayed to God is when I was in trouble in the police cell. Now I do it every day because I know He's listening. Yeah.
And
you allowed me to have that. You allowed me to have that direct contact with God. You know, I'm not in the spiritual sweet shop. I'm not like, you know, getting all boo-hoo about it. I'm just being real. It's my faith now, and it's real for me, and it helps me every day of my life. So yeah,
you know, the Rumi quote that I use often is, "The wound is where the light enters," and it's part of the, you know, the transformative work that I do, is because I deeply trust pain and the wisdom in pain, and the wisdom that lives in us, the light that lives in us. And the moment that we can drop in and really bring that level of presence to those places, it leads us to the light. You know, it gives us a direct experience with God or with creation. You know, many different words that we can use to, you know, fill that, you know, God of someone's understanding.
Yeah.
And, you know, I often have phrases that come back. I know you've called me a white witch. But I also have people, you know, like words that have come up. It's like, it's undescribable and unexplainable.
Yeah. Yeah, I sat in a one-on-one process with you, Keli, and you took me to a place of immense darkness, to like the light that went through my eyelids that day when I had my eyes shut down. The light that come through my eyelids that day was unbelievable, and the feeling I got was like I've never had in my life. It was unexplainable, like you've just said. It was
and undeniable.
Undeniable. I didn't even want to share the
Unexplainable.
experience with no one. I just sat with it on my own. I just thought, what was that? That just happened. That was unbelievable.
Yeah. And I want to, in case anyone, you know, is listening, you know, when I guide someone, I'm not interjecting my words. My words aren't the guide. It's actually, you know, in this particular case, Andy's body. You know, it just is. These are eternal truths. These aren't my words. It's just that, you know, I have such my own direct experience that I can sit with Andy and be that support, and to, you know, go into his body and to his pain, and it will lead to the light, because at the center of all of us, we, you know, are that light. And there are lots of different words that we can use, you know, and these are yeah, you know, I'm using light, but it's consciousness. It's, you know, our connection to source, our higher power, this innateness that lives in us. And I trust that. I trust it so deeply that I can be with someone in that level of pain, and it will lead to that experience. And when we have that experience, it has a really profound way of disarmoring all of these things that have defined us up until then. This darkness, I've had people, you know, it looks different for everyone, but, you know, say that they met evil, and through that met God. You know, these are really big. Obviously, we've gotten, you know, off of the part of the conversation that's just about relationships, or have we? Because ultimately, it's all about our relationship with ourselves and our relationship with, you know, creation. And when we have a direct experience with that, it changes everything about the world. in which we find ourselves.
And I'm happy you just touched on that there, because I was just going to say, I remember saying to you, am I getting punished for everything I've done in my past by God? And you said to me, no, he doesn't punish. You know, he accepts us all as we are. And my relationship with the divine now, with God, is like unbelievable. There's another relationship that you've helped mend, you know, if you've give me, you know, like I say, can't just talk to God or whatever you want to call him, the universe, whatever it may be, when you're in trouble, when you feel like you need a hand. You know, it's a practice that I do every day. And the relationship in that way has then strengthened all my other relationships as well, because I've got a newfound faith. You know, so yeah, really, really just life-changing.
Yeah.
You know, it has been life-changing for me, I want to be honest with you, because the last couple of years have been really, you know, I won't say tough. People have tough lives, I know that, and it was being really challenging, you know, emotionally, physically, mentally. And the work I've done with you over the past year or so has really got me through all that.
Yeah.
And my relationships are a lot better. Still work in progress. We're still working at them. But yeah, it all starts from me showing up in the right way.
Yeah.
And not dismissing people, and, you know, just being present and holding space. So yeah.
Beautiful.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Andy.
Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you for being here and being that example, because the ripple effect is huge. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for thank you for being you. I know I've said you are one of God's angels. The work you do is fantastic, and I really appreciate you. Thank you very much, Cal. Thank you.